Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. Now today I'm going to be justifying why I bought another TT. I'm actually scaling down the fleet. I'm hoping to get to just having two. So that's going to be a mammoth task in itself. Now, I wasn't in the realms of looking to buy another car. However, this has everything I want to take the Nogaro Blue TT to the next level. And also why I may be looking for another relationship. But enough about that. Let's jump into the intro. Now, believe it or not, this TT come from one of the subscribers. A guy called Rob, top fella, lives at the other end of the world. I had to go there, I had to get the car delivered, then I had to go there at a separate time to pick up all the parts, because there's loads of stuff in the back of the garage. He's had this car a long time, and it's been a long project. I think it's on its third engine. It's had different turbos, it's had big wheels, although this side has a space saver on, but I'll tell you a bit about that in a minute. Now, I wasn't looking for another car, and when people have actually been messaging me saying, do you want to buy a car? I just say no. I don't even say how much, what's wrong with it, or anything like that, just no. And he actually messaged me and said to me, look, Dom, I have a feeling that you're going to want to make the Noggy faster. And then, of course, I'm like, go on then, tell me more. And he was like, look, I've got this TT, it's rough, it's ropey, it's rusty, the bodywork's horrific, but it has a forged engine with a hybrid turbo China fold. And I was like, sounds expensive. What's your price? And at this point, I've already been working towards looking at doing a forged build on my Nogaro Blue TT, because it's going to have the cage, the wide wheels, the buckets, it's going to have harnesses, snap-off steering wheel, I'm going to put water meth on it, probably a fire extinguisher system, so it's going to have everything I could possibly want. It's going to be all the show and very little go. So I wanted to go from sort of the 270, 280 horsepower and go above 300. So then I was looking at things like forged rods, different turbo options, because obviously I can go hybrid, but then I'll be limited, whereas I can do, say, an 064 conversion, or I can look at the the 380, is it? AEM 380. I can look at GT28s, GT30s, G25s, it goes on and on. So I've been looking at all the different things, and I was looking obviously like forging it, doing rods, valves, piston rings, and then of course you've got your head gasket set, you've got all your ARP bolts, you're going to do an oil pump, you're going to do new timing belt and water pump, all the other things you're going to include. I mean, are you going to go for new spark plugs? Are you going to go for new coil packs? All these things are to be considered when you're going to be forging the engine. Do you want it to be all brand new? Do you want it to be to a really good standard so you shouldn't have to touch it again? That's kind of the importance of it. Now, I added all the price of that stuff up, and without the turbo, without the manifold, solely just the engine, you're looking at a few grand to do it properly. Now, this car came in at a reasonable price. It was under £4,000, so it made sense to do it, to buy it, sell a few of the bits, to then bring the price down a little bit on what I was doing, because I'm still going to need to buy a turbo. This has got a China fold and a GTX 911, so it's an 11-blade hybrid turbo from Mamba. It's got, what else has it got? Let's have a look. It has got debaffled charge pipe, front mount intercooler, bigger tip, diverter valve. Some of the things I'll use, some of the things I already have, so I don't need. I probably won't use the turbo. I'm probably going to go something a little bit bigger because I want a little bit more power. Plus, this really small turbos do suffer with heat if you're going to push them hard for a long time. Round the road's fine. If you're going to do a lot of track work, probably not ideal. So I'm going to go for something a little bit bigger, but the engine itself is absolutely perfect for what I want. I've done a compression test on it, all compression tested fine, over 180 on each cylinder, which is what you'd expect for a reasonably newly built engine. This has done 10,000 miles, so it's been worn in, but it's perfectly fine still. We are going to pull the engine out at a later date. I'm going to strip the engine down, get it all checked, make a few checks, make a few adjustments, and then put it all back together, give it a paint and all of that kind of good stuff. And then the car, I'm going to use the rest of the bits, because it's always nice to have some spares in stock, because, well, you never know, especially when you own as many TTs as I do. Well, actually, I'm not too bad, actually. I've been selling them recently, mainly to friends. I never buy TTs to make profit. I buy TTs solely for the community. I want them to stay on the road. So all the ones I've been buying, where possible, I've been putting them back on the road, making them better, doing all the things that need to be done to these old cars, checking the oil pickup pipes, making sure the cam belt's done, checking the Howdex works, all of that kind of stuff, all the things you do when you buy a car as an enthusiast. You look at all the failures. And then I've been selling them to all my friends. All my friends have been like, oh, I want a TT, I've got the Bug now. And then my dad's like, oh, I want a convertible. Luckily, I have one. And I've just been integrating them into my friendship group, which is really cool because now whenever we go out anywhere, there's a load of TTs, which is just absolutely perfect. It just means when we go to a meet now, there's like 6 or 7 of us before we even get there. So we bring a meet to anywhere we go, which is wicked. The rest of this car is rough. I mean, it's a high miler. It's got, everyone's had a go at it. Someone's done little bits and bobs. But as a base, for me, it's perfect. It's got loads of nice things on it, like it's got a smooth front bumper. It's got some massive wide wheels. I'll tell you what, I'll jump onto my phone because I think I'm going to struggle with the lighting in the garage. So let's jump onto the phone here. Okay, so like I said, it's got a space saver on there. It's got new discs and pads. You can see they're vented. Yeah, new disc and pads. I've got loads of receipts for it. It's got things like this, which look nice from a distance, but then when you get close, they don't fit very well, and they're broken. They've got cracks in. Inside, just a typical old TT. Loads of boxes full of spare stuff and new stuff. You give me new math. Now this, if you watch my video on YouTube, my little short, it's got no stereo, but it does. It has a stereo in the glove box. It's got this weird Momo gear knob with a nice carbon fibre. So there is some nice bits. Typical things like, I can't really see that, but the clip's broken. And yeah, it's just a normal car. It's got a nice oil pressure and boost digital gauges, which is cool. I might be using them. Let me open the boot if I can. Some of the parts it come with: stance coilovers, set of tyres, a spoiler, a turbo. They're the wheels that are on it, the XXRs. It's got a sub built in, which has lights around it, which is pretty cool. I've already taken the rear lights off, and actually someone's already had them. Original partial shelf, which is nice. Even this trim's actually in a really nice condition. Usually these go quite saggy here. It's actually quite good. Oh look, put LED lights in. I'm going to keep them because these always break, so it's worth having one handy. It's got an interesting exhaust. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but it's got a, there you go, yeah, look. It's got a back box delete, basically a straight through on stock tips. It's got an, what is this? Just a diffuser, like rear. It's quite nice. It came with another set of headlights. Oh yeah, let me open the bonnet again, I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, it came with a load of bits, like you'd expect from a TT that some people have had a go at. What we got here? So yeah, debaffled charge pipe, which, see, things like this, look, it just doesn't sit right. That's asking to pop off, just because it's not strapped correctly. You see the old China fold down there, and then you can see the turbo. How can we show you the turbo? Yeah, the old turbo down there. Terrible filming, proper Bryn style here with the old phone. But yeah, larger intake. It has got a front mount, it's got a few other bits and bobs. See the front mount there. I'll have to work out what I need and what I don't need. The smooth bumper's quite nice, that's quite a nice touch, because you don't see that very often. That's quite a nice touch. The old space saver looks hilarious, doesn't it, compared to these big wide XXRs. Very cool. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. Now, I was kind of hoping just to slide this past the missus because obviously I bought loads of cars and we've not had disagreements, but she's like, you need to stop buying cars, it's getting silly now. And I said to the delivery guy, try not to get it before 12 because she goes to work about 11:15. So I get a text message with a picture about 11 o'clock. I was down here at the garage making this clear ready for the car. I got a text about 11 saying, I take it this is for you, with a picture from our upstairs showing this beautiful monstrosity on a trailer outside our house. Now, any other house, you'd be able to get away with that because a car pulling up outside your house, they could just be looking for directions or something. But when it's a TT with a space saver on and a wheel and it looks really rough, the likelihood is probably for me. And then I just put all busted, ha ha ha. And yeah, then I got a reply saying, oh, massively, and then nothing else. So this may have been the, what is it they say? Something that broke the camel's back. Yeah, this may have been my last one. We shall see. I will keep trying. Of course, you know me. It is what it is. But yeah, like I said, so this is, I bought this solely for the engine. Whether she believes me or not, I don't know. But I bought this solely for the engine to actually save me some money, and because it's already built. And this one actually has pistons and rods. I was only going to do rods in mine. So this has got integrated engineering rods. It's got JE pistons. It's got Supertech valves. It's all the things I would buy if I was going to buy any myself, i.e. rods, very, very good rods. But we would just want to pull it apart and give it a full check, because at the end of the day, I don't want to stick it in my car, stick a big turbo on it, go for mapping, and have a problem. I'd much rather just over the winter, pull the engine, clean it. Oh, it's got a performance clutch on as well, which is another thing. I mean, a clutch kit could be £600 to £1,200 for a performance clutch, so always good. But yeah, I wanted to go through it, get it painted, try and get the best pipe work I possibly could into the Noggy. I also want to clean the Noggy Bay because it's done like 188,000 miles, so it looks rough. And basically transplant the heart from this into that. So that Noggy, because I don't know, a lot of you probably don't know this. Bit of a confession time here. Is when I first bought the Nagaro TT, it actually had LPG gas on it, because the previous owners had a lot of American cars and they just assumed that you just gas everything, which was fine. I mean, I bought it because it was Nagaro Blue, not because of the condition, because it was rough, not because of the service history, because there wasn't any, or the price, because it was quite expensive, especially not for the LPG, because that's nothing but problems. But they said to me, yeah, look, fill it full of LPG, it's about 25, 30 quid, and I thought, ace. They were like, just, it starts on petrol, then when it gets hot, just press the LPG button, it will transfer to the gas, and it will run sweet as, and you'll get, I don't know, 2/3 of a good tank out of it, you know what I mean, a few hundred miles. And I thought, yeah, sweet. So I was driving home, knocked it onto gas, drove all the way home on gas, which was cool, which was from York, which was, I don't know, 150 miles or something like that. And it drove fine, drove it around a little bit, and then suddenly, doop, LPG stopped working. So that got ripped out. I jumped on eBay and managed to find a Nagaro Blue rear bumper for like 60 quid. So I bought that, went and picked it up, swapped the bumper over because that's where it had the little cap down on the lower half of the rear bumper. Took the tank out of the boot, changed the inlet manifold, because obviously they drilled ports into all the inlet manifold, got rid of all the wiring, and it was no longer an LPG car because it was just nothing but hassle. Had that massive donut tank in the boot, and of course, if you want to go anywhere, you want to take a spare, you haven't got a spare. Plus, if someone was to crash into you, it's an added liability. But yeah, so I kind of want to make the Nagaro Blue back to as good as it can be. It's never going to be factory standard or perfect because it's old and I've tweaked with it, but I wanted to invest more of my time into that. So by selling all my other projects, I'm only going to have 2 TTs. So the Nagaro Blue's one. What other one I keep? We shall find out. But I wanted to invest all of my time into the Nagaro Blue one. The other one I'm just going to solely drive and enjoy, and obviously fix when needed because it's a TT. And just, yeah, focus all my time on the blue one, because I find having so many, I mean, I've had at one point, I've had like 8 or 9, you either drive the newest one the most because it's the newest and therefore most exciting, or the one that needs the most work, and you end up getting a list for each one, and then I don't actually do any of that list for any of them, and then it becomes just whatever most needs it. I mean, the V6, when I took it to the ring, the radiator fans failed. When it come home, it sat for 2 months before I replaced the radiator fans, which is ridiculous. If that was the only one I had, I could have literally brought it home the next day, changed the radiator fans. So by reducing down, I should be able to make more videos and more of a progression on the blue one. And hopefully by spring, it should have a new engine, bigger turbo, it should have all the cage stuff done, and maybe a few little aesthetic bits as well. Hope you enjoy that project update. It wasn't one I was planning to make. I was kind of hoping just to get this engine whipped out, but I thought I would show you and explain sort of where I am and all that, because I feel like I'm part of the community, and it's nice to have you all on board. And obviously people ask questions, and I like to guide people along the way, like what I've done, how I'm doing, and maybe you'll have some advice for me as well, like don't buy a money pit, or or grab 2 shovels so you can dig the hole quicker. But yeah, that's where this is. This isn't going to stay around for very long. Like I said, I want 60% of it. I'm going to keep the rear end spare. and all of that. Subframe again, rebuild it up, get it all clean, ready. So I've got one on the shelf just in case, because you never know. Same as the hubs. Push new bearings in them, have them ready to go, because it's an old TT, so anything could fail at any time. So it's nice to have a full cart's worth of spares. If you do need any little bits where you'd like that, things like the smooth bumper, because I'm not going to be using that. Most of the body panels are pretty crappy, but everything else works. So I will keep most bits because I like to keep at least one of everything spare. But yeah, that is my forged engine project. So there's going to be some more power for the Noggy. I've been kind of wanting to share that with you guys for a long time, because I feel like a lot of you want me to make it faster, which makes sense because I've wanted to make it faster for a long time, but I keep buying crap. Like this, but this is good crap. But yeah, that's enough for me before I buy another car. Bye for now.